on
This
hopefully this,
meeting is being recorded.
there we go, on hopefully this beautiful day for wherever you are. So what we're going to be reviewing today is just a quick guide to your overall document maintenance. In addition to your financial wellness, we want to make sure that that does include home cleanup. So for example, what documents do you need to keep? How long do you need to keep them? Many of our clients, including myself, have piles of files. And so making sure that we are disposing of them in a secure manner and how those documents should be stored, if they should be kept online or in paper. So the first thing that we'll want to look at are the different types of documents. As you can imagine, it is suggested that different types of documents are maintained for different retention periods. So for example, bank statements, it is generally recommended that you keep them for at least 3 years. Some people do prefer to keep them for a little bit longer, especially if they've been a victim of fraud or identity theft, for example. Investment or retirement account statements, you'll want to keep those for 7 years. 7 years is the recommended retention period for any type of investment accounts. Medical or medical expense records, that is recommended that you keep that for at least 3 years. Business records, so business records would include any sort of expenses, any documents related to business ownership, any sort of payroll, different things associated with your business you'll want to keep for at least 7 years. Personal tax returns. For a very long time, it was recommended that you keep those records for at least 7 years, but under IRS guidance, they have reduced that to 3 years for a normal return. If you did not report any income, you could keep those records for at least 6 years, and then indefinitely if you either do not file taxes or if you have been a victim of fraud. Fraud is a very, very prevalent concern these days for clients. So anytime that you're a victim of fraud, you do want to make sure you keep documents associated with that so that you can prove further down the road, if needed, any reconciliations associated with that fraud. Insurance policies are always a big one that you will never want to destroy. What type of insurance policies, you might ask? That would be any sort of insurance policy. So for example, if you have life insurance policies, disability policy, homeowners insurance policies, any type of physical policy, you will want to keep that policy for as long as that policy is active. Sometimes, for example, life insurance policies, it's very common that people will have what is called term insurance, which means it's only valid for a certain number of years. If you outlive that policy and that policy has since matured and you are no longer renewing it, you can discard or destroy, I should say, that policy after 3 years. Trust documents, so if it's a revocable trust, irrevocable trust, personal residence trust, charitable trust, if it is a trust, you will want to keep those documents. Make sure that you store them indefinitely, along with any divorce decrees. This is also true if you are someone or your partner has had multiple marriages. It's not uncommon for someone to have been divorced more than once, and you will want to keep any records associated with that divorce for as long as you live. Death certificates and estate settlement documents, you will want to keep those for at least 3 years. Typically, that is the amount of time that you'll need to settle an estate, hopefully sooner, sometimes longer, but you will want to keep those documents for at least that long. What is the best way to store and dispose of all of those documents? The first that we prefer is electronic storage. It needs to be secured and hopefully encrypted. It is recommended in the past that people use different devices, such as a USB memory stick, which is a little stick that plugs into your computer and you can store files on it. However, those memory sticks can be lost. It can be easy to forget the password if there's one on it. And increasingly, as technology changes, more and more computers are being produced that do not have a USB port. By utilizing electronic storage, though, such as a cloud location, meaning an online storage system, you don't need to rely on a physical device to keep that electronic storage handy. One of those secure locations can be our WealthView client portal vault. So for all of our BICLink Financial clients, you do have access to a vault through our client portal in which you can store those documents electronically. If you haven't logged into that vault before, or if you're not sure how to use it, please reach out to our team and we'll be able to set up a time with you to walk you through the website and teach you how to use it. It's easiest to set up a call with us directly just because each person has different technology needs and they access the website in different ways. So it's best to have a customized meeting for that. In the event, though, that you are a victim of fraud or any type of identity theft, some people are concerned that, especially with emails, for example, when you're signed up for electronic notifications, that if their email is hacked, that if a notification is sent, for example, from an investment firm indicating that your account statement is available, that person who hacked your email might see that email. So they may see that there's a notification indicating that the account statement is ready, but that does not mean that they've possessed the actual document or accessed that investment account. All that means is that they have access to that email, but not necessarily those investments specifically. So it's best in those situations to make sure that you have different passwords for different websites. That way will help reduce the odds of any sort of identity theft or just hacking through different websites. When you are ready to dispose of documents as you do your spring cleaning, make sure that you do it securely. We do recommend that you shred documents as opposed to throwing things out in the garbage, especially since most of these documents will contain sensitive information such as your social security number, dates of birth, account numbers, things that if someone is going through the trash, they could easily take that and use that again to commit fraud. When you do shred documents, it is best to use what's called a cross shredder, meaning that the shredding device will destroy the pieces of paper with a cross pattern, making it more difficult for the pieces of paper to be put back together or to be read by someone if they were so bold as to go through that bag of trash. If you do not have a shredder, though, or if you need assistance, please call one of our offices and feel free to stop by any time that works best for you, and we will be able to shred the documents on your behalf. Our team will also be hosting a shredding event at our Southeastern location later this year, so please be on the lookout for those invites coming to you through email, and feel free to stop by, and we hope to see you at that time. Many people also ask about property ownership records, especially people who have multiple homes, and it is a great question. As we all know, whenever you do own property, there's a lot of documents associated with that asset. So the first thing is that anything related to your closing, your homestead, or retitling, you'll want to keep that indefinitely. You will not want to destroy those documents, and those are great documents that you'll want to keep both as an electronic copy as well as a paper copy of the forms. Refinancing, again, if you pay points, make sure that you keep those documents in both electronic and paper form so that you have those for your taxes. Improvements and cost basis. This is something that is sometimes overlooked, but anytime you're doing a major improvement to your home, you will want to keep accurate records to make sure that you can update your cost basis on your home accordingly to help with your tax returns. Some people will keep receipts. For example, if they go to Lowe's and they're purchasing, items every other weekend, some people will keep the physical receipts. Other people will keep items like an Excel spreadsheet documenting all expenses associated with that. And it's truly up to you as far as which one will work better for you. But again, we do like to see both electronic and paper copies so that way it is kept up to date and accurate. As you improve your home, though, if you need assistance trying to figure out a capital gain worksheet, please reach out again to us at Bickling Financial, and your advisor can help you plan out for capital gains if you are looking to sell your home. Now, some of the common questions that we also get regarding document security are things that related to your estate plan. So, for example, if you have a will, a power of attorney, or healthcare directives, what should you do with them? The first thing is that your attorney's office or the law firm that drafted these documents will keep the original at their firm. So that firm will always have a copy accessible to you or to any of your heirs or anyone, for example, a successor trustee or personal representative, formerly known as an executor, who can assist with getting those copies. However, you will want to keep, again, a paper and an electronic copy of those documents. And you will want to make sure that, for example, on a trust, if you are not the trustee of your trust, that the appropriate trustee has a copy of the documents as well. A common tax form 5498 is one that's often produced actually in the month of May. So many of you may be receiving that tax form soon. And what that tax form is it's an informational form confirming whether or not any contributions were made to an IRA for the prior tax year. That form is typically informational only, and it's something that you just keep with your records. It's not something that requires any sort of a tax form, tax filing amendment or anything like that, but it is something, again, that you just want to keep with your records, electronic and paper, just for future reference. When you do select to keep your documents stored online, you will want to make sure that it's done securely. Oftentimes, there are secure websites that you can utilize. For example, some people use iCloud through Apple. Some people use Dropbox. There's many different online storage websites where you can store your documents securely. You will want to make sure, though, that it is a trusted source. So, for example, Iron Mountain is another website that provides these services. They're not typically free, so you may have to pay a small fee for them, but you will want to make sure that you also have what's called two-factor authentication. So if you've ever signed into a website before, and after entering your username and password, the website wants to text you a code, or if it asks you an additional security question, that is two-factor authentication. And you'll want to make sure that's turned on so that it's only you that has access to that website. When it comes to your investment accounts, many times clients receive copies of trade confirmations, whether it's electronic notifications or paper notifications. And we're often asked, do I really need to keep these? And the answer is, it depends. Some people do like to keep the trade confirmations just to see the activity in the account. However, these trade confirmations are also referenced on your monthly statements. So you don't typically need to keep the trade confirmations, but if you do want to keep them after you've had them for a year, they are safe to destroy. And lastly, another common question that we get is regarding your will, is if there's another place, for example, if there's not a third-party relative or friend or family that you would want to keep a copy of your will, you can typically file a copy of your will with your county probate court for safekeeping. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out to either Patrick or myself. Patrick is on this call today. He's just helping me out with the presentation. We can both be reached at 781-862-9792. And if you do want to reach out to your advisor directly with any other concerns or questions, they can be reached at the same number as well. Feel free to email us if you have any other questions that we haven't answered today. But otherwise, we thank you all for your time, and we really are appreciative that you guys spent this afternoon that, again, is hopefully gorgeous for you, taking the time to learn about how to securely store your documents and how to properly destroy them. Thank you all.